Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it in our talk about creating raving fans. So first scene for those of you who may or may not be familiar with mindset. Raving fans is one of those categories, and you'll see they have four categories. The two extremes have megaphones. Our goal is to have category four, the happy megaphone raving fan gal. Um, Go ahead. Yeah. What are raving fans? They are customers that unprompted will tell others about the great experience they had with you, the great service, um, with without being asked to do so. They're created by being absolutely wowed by our treatment, our level of customer service, the products that we provide for them. It's not about just, yeah, this is okay, this is good, I'm satisfied. It's about, wow, I've got to share this experience with somebody else. So why is it important to talk about raving fans or have that as our goal? So number one, 2025, we want all Selden employees to be thinking about excellence every time with every interaction. And, quick a reminder, we've got a multitude of customers that we serve, right? From our own coworkers to residents to owners to vendors. They're all our customers, and we want to show our commitment to excellence with each one of them each time. Uh, Surpassing our competition and giving better service, unparalleled service. Um, Being solution focused, and everyone on your team be thinking about solutions and how could we be better today? How can we make a certain task easier, quicker, more efficient? Ensuring that we're giving outstanding customer service. Living by behavioral expectations and leadership principles. If you don't know, these can be found in SOP 43. I encourage you to read them, look at it often, talk about it with your team, and kind of group think about how we can live those principles every day. Striving for excellence, and just kind of pushing ourselves to do our best work, doing some inner reflection, right? Where's my weak points? What can I get better at? What message do I want to send? Satisfied customers, that level three customer, satisfied customer is a positive thing, right? We want our customers to be satisfied, but great companies know that that's really not enough. Someone who's satisfied will remain, a customer of yours until someone does it a little bit better, or maybe it's a little bit more convenient, or maybe they saved a dollar or two. Um, we want our customers to feel how committed we are to their success, being kind of a true business partner with them and help them to become enthusiastic proponents about our services to where they want to share it with others. Um, but dominant companies know that keeping that bar high for your standards of customer service are what it's about to create raving fans. Um, Creating raving fans starts with an organization, a company culture that's committed to improvement, just has that internal drive to want to improve themselves every day. We're all part of that, right? When we improve, ourselves, the department we're in, the property we're in, it builds. And not only you will grow, but Selden will grow. Um, when you hit that level of engagement and drive, you've got teams around you that just want to push forward and want to do better and are determined to move Selden and forward. Um, so setting an urgency uh, for us to every day infuse strong teams um, that that aren't satisfied with where we are. Think in, first impressions. Now, go ahead. Go ahead. First impressions are critical. Customers can sense quality, character, and value from the very first interactions they have, whether that's a phone call that they've made and how you answered the phone. Maybe it's signage at your property or marketing materials that you have in print or on social media. Maybe it's how they're greeted when they come into your department or into your property, or how the facilities look. Those, Mr. Selden called that the 10-set look, right? 10-second look. What does somebody think about the property or your office, or your interaction in that first 10 seconds? You can't get that back. Um,
Oh my goodness, speaking of opposites, so my husband is clutter, 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 and I am like decluttered. Like I cannot work in a messy space. So put into chat if you are like you like your desk messy because you feel like you're more organized, like all these sticky notes, or you are like, I'm a clutter-free zone and I cannot think unless I have my desk is clear. First impressions, right? Clutter-free, yeah.
so people, think of yourself as a customer, when you're shopping or when you're looking for a product and that first impression is not quite there. Even if it's a small detail, you kind of get the sense that, wow, if they don't look at the small things, are they going to take care of me with the big things? So, power of passion with building raving fans. Um, have fun with this. I know one regional, with the goal of excellence every time, set a goal for their region of who can get the most 5-star reviews this first quarter, right? Um, Most people, I think, in Selden are a little bit competitive, so you can make it fun, make a game of it. But it really comes down to, do you have fun? Do you have a passion for what we're doing? Do you have a passion for people? We're in the people business. Um, Encourage each other to cultivate and grow that passionate work, um, interacting with customers, um, and if you're in a property, um, making sure, hey, who's the most passionate person out here? Who's that outgoing person? Maybe that's the person that we want the prospects and the customers to see first when they come into the office. Details absolutely matter. It's almost always the small things that make the difference and differentiate between good and exceptional. Um, and so organizations, can't speak right now, that are shooting for higher standards, know that we want to create that detail to show a commitment to our excellence. Um, Customers know that companies that do the small things right, will likely get the big things right as well. So be passionate about attending to the small things. Talk about that with your team. What are the little details that we could be doing that send the message that we want to send? Think about the message you like to send and the experience that you like to have while you're shopping, no matter what that is. What are the difference makers? Don't skip the small stuff. Um, Empower your people to make quick decisions to do the right thing for the customers. Um, Good rule for your staff. When you have the opportunity to do something that requires little from us. It doesn't cost much in time, effort, or dollars, but it means something to the customer. Don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Take care of the customer. Simplest, most effective ways to gain a customer's long-term business is to put a focus on continually earning their trust. Build the trust and keep re-earning that trust with the customer. Active listening, be present in the moment with that customer, existing or prospect, vendor, coworker. Um, be with them. We're all super busy, so it's easy to. I've got X amount of emails over here that are making me feel buried, and somebody comes into the office. That's your time to show great customer service with who you're dealing with. So show physical and verbal cues that you're listening, nodding your head or leaning in or asking, follow-up questions and why questions. Let them know that at that moment they're the most important thing in in your day, right? It's about them. It's not about us. So we need to put our egos to the door, so to speak. Um,
So just one,
Increasing the amount of time. You've probably all heard the old saying, we have two ears and one mouth, so use them accordingly.
that's cute. Oh, that's good. Well, thanks, John. I'm going to kind of jump in. I know if any of you know me, active listening is not my giftedness. So it is something that I struggle with all the time. And so I have challenged myself when having, conversations to have, great employee experiences, customer experiences, create those experiences, try to be really present with whatever I'm doing. And sometimes that means I got to shut off anything that dings or blings or pops up or wants to take my attention away from what I'm trying to listen to. And it's always hard whether you're a corporate office or you're on the property. There's people walking in, people asking questions. You've got now chats on Teams, emails, your phone's ringing. Maybe your kids are calling to check in for the day. There's always all of these distractions. So just encourage you, if that is not your superpower, active listening, not mine, that just take some time with that and enjoy I'm enjoying what silence can bring to a conversation and what it can bring out in people when you maybe talk a little less and just ask a really good question and then listen to the answer. So thanks, John. All right, well, let's talk about differentiate. So a lot of times as companies, we go out and what do? We compare. So we go out and say, what does Selden do great? What does Lund do great? I don't know, what are some other property management firms do great, around the area in town? Are we looking at a complex that's really comparable to ours? And we make sure like, hey, we're offering everything we're offering. But that doesn't necessarily differentiate us from the competition. It's really just a comparison match. Now, we certainly don't want to fall behind, but we actually want to be a company who is distinct and really stands out, whether that's benefits we offer to the employees, incentives, or whether that's things we offer to our residents and coming up with different and new ideas. So we just encourage you guys, if you haven't ever taken time or make a list of like what makes you different, what about your staff, your team internally. HR recently did kind of a little SWOT of our strengths and weaknesses internally to say, like, what do we think we're good at and what do we think we're not so good at as a team? But what differentiated us from other HR teams, within companies was kind of a fun little exercise. So really challenge you guys to do that. Okay, just one more step. Our focus is generating and retaining raving fans by doing like extra things. We strive for excellence. We push for constant improvement. We focus on those details. We constantly think of what can we do differently to stand out. It can be a little exhausting. So, you're not in this alone. You have great people around you and teams around you. I encourage you to like share that. So the good news is we often don't have to go like a whole mile to create a raving fan. Sometimes it's just the little extra thing that we do for a customer, a vendor, a client, or an employee that really makes that experience, stand out to them. So we all need to go a step more than our competition, but we don't, necessarily have to go like crazy with some of these things. I think when I was doing the little research on differentiation of like companies that really differentiate themselves, Chick-fil-A popped up. You guys always hear them come up like, their whole second mile, kind of initiative and going that extra mile, for the customers. Disney is always a big one about creating that immersive experience. Here is the funny thing when I was researching Disney. So you property management people, you will like this. So they've done research and studies on trash cans. And they put trash cans 30 feet away because that is generally when people want to throw away an item is in about 30 feet. Okay. So, and then they have sensors in their trash cans that alert the custodians when it's full in their bathrooms and in their parks so that they can, again, have that appearance of cleanliness. And I thought that is a really cool way. Like if you want to differentiate yourself and saying, hey, our parks are clean and, easy accessible, and we always have paper towels and, different things like that. Having these little sensors that actually alert someone to come take stuff away, I thought was just a really cool piece of technology, that they're doing. So just encouraging to think of like outside the box stuff like that. Okay, our single best piece of advice. This is like my favorite thing to do and to say ever since I learned it. Is the world is chock full of people who overpromise and underperform what they're going to give you. It is a dreadful practice. And it more occurs, we make unrealistic, optimistic projections of what we think we can get done in the amount of time that we have. It's particularly hard if you rely on vendors and other people's schedules outside of your control. So if you're booking like, yes, we're going to get that fixed for you by tomorrow, but then you realize you don't have any parts to fix anything, you can't then meet that expectation. So always good to give reasonable time frames so that you don't allow that person to be disappointed. We have an email response time of 24 hours. That just means we want you to acknowledge and respond. It doesn't mean you have to have all the answers in 24 hours, right? You can say, hey, this project is going to take me a little bit more time. I'll get back to you in 48 hours or 3 days or by this date with this project. I always try to set a date like it gives me an extra day just in case anything goes wrong, because generally something goes wrong, like something fails or I can't get into a folder or something happens or I thought this person was in and they're off and I can't get the information. So again, give yourself a little bit more time so that you're not missing deadlines and timelines and promises that you make to people. To not disappoint, we want to promise because we want to give people what they want to hear, right? Like no one wants to say it's going to take 6 months for, well, Acura actually just did it. So I got a recall part. They're like, your recall part's now in. So I called to book it and they're like, yeah, you're on a list of like a gazillion people. So it'll be about 6 months. And I'm like, well, why did you even bother telling me? It's going to be so long to get this part in. And so like, we'll call you, and I'm like, well, when will you call me? We don't know, So again, they probably wanted to tell me we're going to get you in on Friday to get this fixed for you, but they're like, yeah, we have no idea, right? So I would have been more disappointed if they said we could get this in on Friday. So whatever the reason, few things in business are flat out nonsensical than a pattern of doing this over and over and over again. So just really be very careful whether you're talking to your employees, whether you're talking to customers, residents, a vendor, again, if you can't make it happen, don't tell people that you will. And I put this, I have seared this into my brain. I will always under promise and then I will try to get it done within 24 hours if I said, 76 or whatever, and try to get it done as fast as I can. And everyone's like, oh, I'm so excited you got this done because they weren't expecting it to have it in that time frame, which is great. Okay. So what to do to put all of this in motion? So this is customer service is one of our pulse check goals this year. So we all would want to get $250 in December because that helps out with Christmas and all sorts of other expenses that we all want. So putting this into motion and making sure that we are, having excellence every time is super important. So we wanted to give you some ideas on how to put this into practice. So as you go about your daily life the next few weeks, notice companies that are working to earn your business and trying to create a raving fan. What did they do to exceed your expectations? How did it impact you? How did it make you feel? And are you more likely to continue to give them your business? These are great exercises too. If you guys want to sit down with your team as you're working through some of these things and working on customer service, these are great ways to just sit down and ask these questions and kind of get ideas. Okay, notice how often other businesses miss big opportunities to turn you into a raving fan. So what was the things that they needed to do that they didn't do? How did that make you feel? Spend some time reflecting on what you would do differently if you own that business and how you would handle things. If you have a process for onboarding new customers, and that could be, signing leases and now examine it, take it step by step, break it down. Are there things you could do better to welcome new customers, greet them, appreciate them, raise that level a little bit? Do we offer water? Do we offer snacks? Do we offer a pen, or do they have to get in their purse to get a pen? What are the things that we do just to make it a little bit more unique and a little bit more special? All right. At an upcoming staff meeting, I do encourage you to get picky. So we recently did this as a team, and I don't know if it was fun or educate. It was educational. It wasn't too not fun, but we actually really did this, and we're like getting picky about breaking down all of our processes for process improvement, and to say, what are these small things, the details inlined in all these big things like onboarding, right? Like how does that break down, and what are all the individual employee experiences that someone could have, right? So it's getting picky about the small things to see maybe we're missing something, or maybe there is something we can just do better. So do a mental exercise where you put yourself in the position of your resident or your customer, and what do you see or experience that really impresses you, and what do you see what do you think could blow you away, as you're walking through your day? Like, what could just blow you away if it was a little bit different? And what ideas could you come up with to make it even better, to cement that trust and start creating some raving fans? Examine a significant day-to-day practice where you've been on coast for a while. Now we all have these days where it's like we all do this and it's just we kind of just coast through it. Challenge your team to brainstorm how you can refresh or how you can improve it. Do you make a great first impression? Really, really take a look at that. That whole slide on first impressions, from your desk to how clean the door is when you walk in, to how clean the floors are, the rugs are, your work area. Yesterday, I dropped popcorn on my floor and it didn't. There was popcorn I hadn't gotten to it yet because I ate popcorn, so I had to get that cleaned up because that was a really bad impression if someone's walking by my office that I'm like got popcorn spilled all over the floor, right? So what are those things? So challenge yourself. What could we do better to make our first impression? Is it wearing a name tag? Is it looking at our dress code really intently to say like, hey, on these days, we're all going to wear this color, or we're all going to wear silver shirts, or, whatever it is, make it kind of fun too. How can we further differentiate ourselves? So really, don't look at comparable, but then say, okay, if we're blowing out comparables, yep, we're kind of, we're close, we're almost apples to apples, but what can we do above and beyond or do distinctly differently that would make us different? And become a PR agent for your colleagues. The next time you have a customer contact, don't be shy. Mention how terrific they are and how fortunate your company is to have them. We have a great program called Work Tango, and we would love people to use this more to tell people what amazing things are going on and what people are getting, rave reviews and customer comments. And I love reading that, seeing what people are doing and what what's happening on your sites. We also have, I always say Yammer. It's not Yammer anymore, so someone can correct me. What is it? Say, but the chat, it pops up in my email, so I don't have to really go anywhere. Does anybody You can put it in chat, correct me if you want. What's it called? But you can put it in there, photos and stuff. I hope you guys are all connected in that because it's just super fun, right? So, February is Valentine's, so it's kind of like, the month of sharing your love. So that is a great time to say, I am going to be a PR agent and a marketing firm for my team, for my property, and for my employees and different things like that. That'll be a fun thing to do, and then give people points so they can go buy coffee and super awesome things. Okay. So keep paying attention, closely monitor yourself. So take the month, really work on this in your team meetings, both at work and at home. Do you always under promise and over perform? Do you do this with your family? That's always a good test. Like something that you can do it at work, but when you can start doing it with your family, you really got it. It's kind of ingrained in your brain. So, and then marketing. 5 fast facts every customer should know, right? So if you were to meet someone or they were to come in and you would say, like, what would you say about Selden or your property? You can put this in any context that they want, that they're just not familiar with your company or your property. In 15 seconds, what things would you say, maybe even 5 things that are just so amazing about your property or about where you work or about the people that you work with? So hopefully you have an hour worth of material, or at least 90 seconds, right? That's the elevator speech. 90 seconds to impress somebody. What would you say about your coworkers or your company or your property? So those are our great suggestions for you at this time. And I know we're coming up on time, but I would love to hear any of your guys' thoughts or any questions that you guys have. Engage, yes. Engage. I love that. I love the whole passionate, part of this that John kind of went over. We were recently talking about as we come to work each day, what is our purpose for being here, and what are we trying to do, and what are we trying to accomplish on a daily basis in our roles, and how do we want that employee experience to, what do we want them to be left with when they leave our office or leave our phone call, or those type of things. So those are great things to think about, and engaging in, like, what are you super passionate about your work, and keeping yourself engaged, because you got to keep yourself engaged, because it's easy to become disengaged. Trish, do you have a thought? I said off
Yeah,
mute.
Charity, I just also want to remind people that it's not also when we're at work, because it can happen when we're quote unquote off duty. I had an instance where I was wearing one of my Selden shirts, and I went into a Hallmark store to buy a card, and I'm looking around and, kind of going, oh, where is this? Where is that? And kind of chatting with the old ladies behind the counter. And, and it wasn't until after I was done and completed my transaction that the lady finally said, "Oh, do you work at Selden?" And it was after everything. And right as I'm turning to go out, and I went, "Yes." And I said, "Why? Do you know Selden?" And she goes, "Yes, I live at," and she said a property name. And I went, "Oh." And then I thought, what shirt do I have on? I couldn't remember what I had on, and then I couldn't remember what had I been doing while I was in the store, and what did I say? Was I good? Was I sweet? Was I kind? And it just hit me full force, and so then I was in automatic PR mode going, oh, how do you like the property? Who's your property manager? Oh, I know her. Do you like her? Is everything good? How long have you lived there? Do you have any concerns? And I said, well, personally, I work at the corporate. And then I told her all about myself. I work at the corporate office. And if there's any time that you can't get a hold of your property manager, feel free to call us at the corporate office so that we can assist you, because we're always there to help you. And we want you to enjoy living where you're at, because that's your home. And we want you to feel absolutely 100% welcome anywhere you go on any Selden property, and so I went into my Selden spiel, and by the time she was done, she was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I don't even know where the corporate office is." And I said, "Well, here, let me," and I was giving her the address and a phone number and says, my name. And I'm like, I don't have any business cards, but here, I was like, and so, and I spent like another 5 to 10 minutes, but it was very interesting because she was scoping me out and I didn't know that. And it wasn't until everything was over that she said, "Oh, do you work at Selden?" And so you don't know who's watching even when you're not working. And so when you're wearing those Selden shirts, when you're pumping gas or you're walking through a store picking up those groceries on your way home from work, you're still being an ambassador for your company. And um, and and like the other day, I had an appointment at a doctor's office, and they asked, "Oh, Selden, isn't that a real estate company?" And again, like you said, Charity, have your little spiel about your company, that you can go, "Yes, this is what we do, and this is who I work for, and it's a company that's 100 years old. Did you know not many companies are 100 years?" And that you can go off and be able to give them that little PR spiel about where you work and how excited you are to be there, and that we are a company that's excellent in many, many ways.
No, I love that. Oh, John, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can't think of a better PR agent out there for us than Tricia.
Like, would I have responded that well? I don't know, like
But you have to be careful.
I know, I know. I'm like, oh no, that's a great. But that is, if you're prepped and prepared, that's kind of the thing. That's why we say, hey, everybody come up with an elevator speech, right? That
Right.
lasts from 30 to 90 seconds. It doesn't have to be a lot, and then ask a really good question. Well, what's been your experience with Selden? And then you can kind of jump from there. But knowing a little bit about the company, the 100 years, knowing a little bit of the history, our founders and where we come from, that we have commercial and all those sorts of different things. So when you get noticed, you can, talk about them and hopefully have some great positive things to say about your experience with Selden, that you can share with people. But always better to be prepared than kind of caught off guard and kind of have that ready. So we encourage you guys to actually write that out. We have like a form for mindset. It's called the elevator speech. And it's like, you just kind of write out a little paragraph about your job and Selden and what you like and those type of things, so that you're prepared when you're not expecting it and don't even remember what you're wearing. So out of context. That's really great. Anyone else have any thoughts on great customer service or our new, kind of excellence in everything that, we're trying to do this year? I know it's a challenge. All right. Well, so yep, that's our theme for this year is excellence in everything. So please take those ideas that we gave you about meeting with your teams, getting picky, really drilling down, challenging ourselves to pay attention to the details, to see what we're passionate about, make sure we have our elevator speakers, and then be a good PR agent for your coworkers and for the company, and let people know all the great things that are going on by using Worktango. We'd love to hear more on Worktango from everybody. So thank you guys for attending today, and we'll see you at the next sync session.
Bye, guys.